Welcome everyone to the 14th Annual Growing Online Learning Conference presented by Illinois Community Colleges Online. The theme for our conference this year is Quality Online Teaching, Learning, and Support. We hope you find it beneficial as we continue to adapt to new instructional and support strategies for student success as a result of the pandemic. I'm Jeff Newell. I'll be moderating this session. ILCO would like to thank Heartland Community College for providing the web conferencing platform for use in this year's conference. Please note the captioning is available as well for all of the conference sessions. Our schedule for the 3 days is on the screen. It can also be found at the conference website at ilco.net under Resources and Events. Links to attend the live sessions will be found on the conference website and your registration confirmation email. If you have any questions about accessing the sessions, please contact me at jeff.newell@illinois.gov. Recordings of these presentations and handouts will be available at the conference site on ilco.net following the conference. ILCO is pleased to welcome Dr. Tina Parskil as this year's keynote. Dr. Parskil is the Associate Vice Chancellor for Colorado Community Colleges Online and Academic Affairs for the Colorado Community College System, a position in which she provides executive leadership for CCC Online, system-wide academic technologies, learning design, professional development, and online library and open educational resources. She also coordinates collaboration and communication among the colleges, CCCS and CCC Online, and the emerging Colorado Online Consortium. Tina has extensive experience in higher education and has held a variety of instrumental roles, including provost, chief academic officer, executive director, college dean, and professor. Welcome, Tina.
Great. Thank you very much, Jeff, for the warm welcome, and good morning, everyone. It's great to kick off your fantastic several days. Looking at the agenda, it looks like you are in for a great and productive professional development activity. As Jeff said, I'm Tina Parskil with the Colorado Community College System. Let me tell you a little bit about who we are. So the Colorado Community College System, we are the largest higher education system in the state of Colorado. We comprise of 13 colleges, over 40 locations. Last year, we served over 113,000 undergraduate students and awarded over 20,000 credentials. As Jeff mentioned, I also lead the Colorado Community Colleges Online, or CCC Online, which is the consortium of the 13 colleges in the system. Unlike many other consortiums, we actually offer direct instruction on behalf of the colleges that we serve, which makes us a very unique consortium. But as I may talk about as we move on, we're actually moving towards Colorado Online, which we will be redistributing instruction out to the colleges and building a shared service unit within a centralized organization with CCCS. CCC Online last year, we had over 64,000 enrollments, serving over 30,000 students. So we're a pretty large organization. So before we get started, I want to do a land acknowledgement. Although I currently live in Colorado, I grew up here in Hawaii, and today I am joining you from the island of Maui. And I'd like to acknowledge that our land, or Aina, from which I join you today, is a part of a large territory home to the Native Hawaiians, the indigenous Hawaiians. I also want to recognize Her Majesty Queen Liliuokalani yielded this Hawaiian kingdom to the United States under duress and protest to save the Hawaiian people from bloodshed. I support the indigenous Hawaiians, and I am committed to dedicating time and resources in support of the people. So mahalo. I appreciate your letting me share that. Each of us have our own pandemic story, our origin story for how we've launched into the pandemic. Mine began on February 29, 2020, when I was in Seattle for the League of Innovation Conference. That day, I was enjoying a little bit of sightseeing. You can see from this image I took from the Chihuly Museum, which I thought was a great shot. That day, though, was also the day that they reported that Washington State had its first COVID outbreak and its first death. And as I returned to my hotel room, my email and my phone blew up from very concerned staff members. I received comments like, people are dying in Seattle. Are you going to quarantine before you come back to the office? And even more pointedly, if you step foot in the office, I'm heading out the back door. I really didn't know what to make of it. You know, we've been through H1N1 and the swine flu, and I thought, you know, I really don't know what magnitude this is going to be. So I certainly, you know, felt for the fear of my team, but I also didn't want to, you know, I wanted to be concerned, but not set off a sense of alarm. Well, little did I know. So I returned to the office on March 2nd. And on that day, our chancellor assembled our COVID task force, which was comprised of people from the system office as well as individuals from presidents and vice presidents from the colleges. A few days later, our first case was reporting in Colorado, so we knew that this was at our doorstep. We were asked to produce a toolkit for the colleges, for the faculty, so that they'd be able to have resources and tools to be able to respond should they decide to go to remote instruction. On March 16th, we released my staff to work from home. We did not have a culture of remote work. We did have some flexibility in terms of schedule, but certainly remote work was not something that was part of our culture at that time. But we said our folks could be more productive and safe, most importantly safe, being home. And so we said, please take all your equipment, take your desk if you want to take your stand-up desk with you, but please be safe. CCC Online's already 100% online, so we didn't really have to do much in terms of transitioning our students and our instructors to online. We were already online, so we were able to provide resources to our colleges who needed to make the pivot, who needed to change to either online instruction or remote instruction. Most of the colleges extended their spring break by a week, which gave students 2 weeks off so that they did not have to return to campus. And the faculty then had the ability to invest those 2 weeks to transition their courses to either online or emergency remote. And most programs, except for our career and technical ed, like welding, it's hard to weld from home, did not return to campus after spring break in 2020. My team did amazing work. I am so proud of them. They really was such a support service to our colleges. They put together an essentials of online teaching along with the help of some faculty from Front Range Community College to do a 2-week essentials of online teaching. And that workshop was offered both in spring and summer terms, and we ran over 600 faculty and instructors through that 2-week intensive. It really helped them position themselves for high quality online teaching, and a lot of innovative things, some of which I'll share a little bit later, emerged from that. We also extended some of our online services, including our online library. We have an online librarian that we actually stole from Illinois, so sorry about that. She's amazing. And we extended our tutoring and our help desk services, our proctoring services. We made our course shells available to the colleges, and we provided training and instructional design support to faculty. I'm happy to report the spring semester that system-wide, we didn't see a notable change in student success or completion rates. As we look back, our DFW rates and our attrition rates, they really didn't change. I was pleasantly surprised. Our faculty and our teams really pivoted to serve students. So now I want to hear from you. So this is the interactive part of our session. So I've set up a Mentimeter, and if you go to menti.com and put in the code 9170-1874, or you can scan the QR code and it'll take your phone right over to the Mentimeter, because we want to hear from you. What did your colleges do to pivot? So I'm going to transfer my screen. Oh, and we have something in the chat here, and I'll take questions as we go. Brittany Dudek, yes, she is our librarian that we stole from Kate. So yes, she is amazing. So sorry we stole her from you, Kate. She is a rock star. So I am going to transfer us over to Menti now, hopefully. So we'll be able to see your responses. Excellent. We already have some responses. So what did your college do to pivot? Online courses, virtual services, and student support. Online tutoring appointments. Provided digital literacy. Let me move my screens here. Training. Like Colorado, we offered a 2-week professional development certification to help faculty prepare for online learning. We had about 200 faculty go through. We issued devices to students and faculty and staff. Yes, we actually used some library funds. We have each of the colleges, the state of Colorado gives us, you can get a grant from the state library, and we use those to purchase Chromebooks for students at one of our rural colleges, which was really appreciated. So we see moved all of our classes online, have slowly returned to campus. Similar to yours, we vacated on March 19th, offered online services. Extended spring break also to give students and faculty time to adjust. Provided equipment and software. Required online orientation class. This is so important for all of our students taking their first online course. Shifted to completely online tutoring and online research support. Classes went online, tech equipment was provided. That's fantastic. Extended spring break, everyone was online. Ramped up required online training for all instructors. Colleges reimbursed faculty for Zoom accounts. Oh, that's fantastic. Let's see, Beth, what else we have here. I'm scrolling. Sorry, hopefully I'm not making anyone dizzy. Provided digital literacy training, one-on-one training for moving science labs courses to online. Yes, that's huge. We, CCC Online, we have online college courses, so we had to extend out our contract with our online lab kits so that the colleges would be able to piggyback on our contract so they can send out online lab kits to their students as well. Fantastic. Transitioned online, computer lending. We put together a course in our LMS with information about transitioning to online. A faculty member posted several tutorials. Excellent. Formed a task force and provided most classes online and moved all services to online, provided laptops, launched our Center for Teaching and Learning, invested in synchronous lecture hall technology, developed micro certificates. Wow, that's fantastic. Tied to promotion and tenure, virtual support, maximize technology already in place, such as tutoring, reviewed courses of faculty who had not taught online. The president of my college was in denial, so after our governor declared an at-home order, we're given 2 weeks to move with no training, little support. I've taught online, but many colleagues were out of luck. Oof. We immediately switched all of our to online, proctoring, tutoring, lecture, all moved to Zoom while issued equipment. So it seems like, you know, all of you have done great work in terms of supporting your students. You know, this really trends with what we're hearing from folks nationally. So I'm going to switch back to PowerPoint, hopefully. So I serve on the Quality Matters Board and the advisory group that puts together the CLOE report. Each year, CLOE surveys chief online learning officers about the state of online learning in higher education. And the 2021 report focused on the pandemic response. It was compiled from responses of 422 chief online learning officers representing both 2- and 4-year colleges. More than half of the survey respondents, 57% across all sectors, indicated that going forward, the pandemic actually is leading to positive change. And after reading this was really the inspiration for the topic that I chose to share with you today, because when life gives us lemons, we make lemonade. When as instructional designers and learning designers and educators, particularly community college educators, when life throws us a pandemic, we really pivot to progress. And so when I read about the things in this survey, it really inspired me, because I thought about all the good work that we're doing in serving our communities and our students as community college educators. And it really resonates with what's happening throughout higher education. So some of the key findings from the CLOE report is an elevated commitment to learning quality and quality assurance goals, a focus on ensuring that courses, online courses, and even emergency remote courses meet quality standards. Yes, we may have pivoted quickly to emergency remote, but now what we're doing as a community of practice is really saying, okay, we have all this, we made the transition. How do we leverage this moving forward? And as online learning professionals, we're doing that good work. We also have made a commitment to faculty development. I'm seeing that through all of your great responses to the Menti. An average of 10 to 15% increase in online professional development and a real growth in online student orientations. Again, we saw that in your responses. We also saw the largest annual increase ever in EdTech investment in 2020 and 2021 across all sectors of higher education. Now, some of this came from HERF grants or the CARES recovery funds that we've received at our colleges. As a system, we were not eligible for those grants, but we did really leverage some of our other funding sources to really make sure that all of our colleges, particularly our smaller rural colleges that really are resource strapped, that we were able to really, as a system, ensure that those colleges are not disadvantaged from their larger counterparts. I will also say I'm open to taking questions as we go. So if you do want to place a question in the chat, please let me know and go ahead and throw it up in the chat and we can address it as we go. We'll also have some time at the end for dedicated to questions. So Beth Simonich wrote a recent article about how the key tenets that she observed from the CLOE report, but also in working with some of the institutions that participate in Quality Matters. And she identified really 3 buckets: preparing for online growth based on the momentum we built for learning, remote learning, and also a focus on online quality as a key differentiator, and the ways that we support online students and faculty in really robust ways. And we're going to dig into each of these individually. So the first is growth in online learning. So Bayfield Analytics, in cooperation with such groups as Cengage Learning, the Online Learning Consortium, WCET, Achieve the Dream, and others, surveyed community college students, faculty, and administrators. And they found that 3/4 of current community college students taking online courses wanted to take more in the future. So we find that online learning and the experiences that we did provide to them through the pandemic response. We gave them a good experience and they want to take more online courses. We also found that for those that are classroom-based, they found that most two-year students want the option for online or hybrid courses in addition to taking classroom-based courses. And they wanted to heighten use of technology and digital resources in the classroom. So we've really created a culture and a climate where blended and hybrid learning has really taken foot. Our students are recognizing that digitally that even their classroom experience can be enhanced through the intentional and high quality and accessible use of learning technologies. We also found that quality, theme of this conference, right, really has taken hold. Since 2021, colleges and universities have increased their investment in quality assurance and remediation of courses that were quickly transitioned to remote. You may have seen that last week, members of the National Council of Online Learning released an opinion piece that emergency remote instruction is not quality online instruction, that they are indeed different. They pointed out that the remote learning that we pivoted to is an emergency measure used to assure continuity of learning, and that certainly was our experience. That online learning is a planned experience developed intentionally over weeks and months where courses have been purposely designed, often with the help of learning designers, instructional technologists, but they've been specifically designed for the online environment. Technology and tools have been thoughtfully and carefully selected to ensure that they support the learning outcomes. Faculty for quality online learning receive professional development support to succeed in this modality. Within my system, the Colorado Community College system, we're actually in the process as we look towards Colorado Online, is we're looking at a statewide baseline for quality assurance. Out of 13 colleges in the system office, 7 of us participate in Quality Matters. Some of our colleges just really don't have the resources to do it. So next year I'll be sponsoring a system-wide subscription so that all colleges, all faculty can participate in some level of Quality Matters and quality assurance. So with this baseline quality that we're putting out, we're coming up with a thing we're calling Quality Matters Plus. Because truthfully, what we found is that Quality Matters is a little lean, although hefty, robust. It's a little lean on some things that we really value. One is universal design of learning. We wanted to really go deeper on that. We also really want to bake in our own standards for diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging. So the plus is really those additional pieces that we think are really critical for our own online community. We're also creating an abbreviated form that we're calling the Healthy Checklist. Because Quality Matters is hefty and robust, some faculty find it less accessible. They find it a little unwieldy to be able to, apply it. So we are paring it down and giving them a self-assessment tool that they're able to assess their course quality with a healthy checklist. We think that this will be something that will really foster a culture of quality assurance in a really palatable, accessible way. So I'd be happy to share that with you once that's done, because we have some really great folks system-wide that are working on that. These are just this is just our example, and I know there are many among you that have this example. In fact, and I see she logged in, she's here. Heather Moore from Rock Valley will share on Thursday how they leverage the use of Canvas templates to assist in the development of high quality courses. So check that out because they're doing some great work there as well. I see I have something in the chat, so let me see what it says. Anna, I'd love to have the resource. Yes, absolutely. We will definitely share that. We will put we're really big into open resources. So we will put a Creative Commons seal on it so it could definitely be reused. We've also seen, I need to advance my slide here. We've also seen advances in student and faculty support, lots of advances. So as many of you mentioned, student orientations, orienting students to the online and virtual environment is key. As we moved into the pandemic response, we recognized that many of our students, online was not their first choice. And they were moved into the online environment so that they can continue. But under normal circumstances, they would not have chosen online as their modality of learning. So we revised our student orientation so that it really met students where they were, and it included things like technology, helping them assess their technology and digital literacy, which I also saw many of you are doing. Virtual advising, I saw that, and tutoring and library and other services. I think what was really cool is for us, it changed the way we do advising. It's made our advising offices much more flexible. So even as they're moving back to face-to-face, and welcoming students back to campus, they're still keeping the virtual advising appointments. They're using more virtual tutoring. Libraries are extending their resources. So we're really seeing some great advances there. And creating one-stop service centers, which includes both face-to-face and remote and online, which is fantastic. Student-friendly academic policies emerged. Spring 2020, our Colorado Department of Higher Education has an academic council, and we met weekly. And part of it is helping the 2 years work with the 4 years to say, okay, we are going to be more flexible with our incomplete policies. We're going to be more flexible with our using satisfactory and unsatisfactory grades. We want to make sure to protect our transfer students that our 4 years will make note of that. It's when our students come and you see a transcript with a bunch of satisfactories for a semester, we want you to remember that we were in the middle of a pandemic. So we wanted to memorialize that in academic policies to be more student friendly. We also had many of our colleges create drive-up Wi-Fi hotspots so that students, particularly in rural communities or some communities with just bad Wi-Fi and bad internet, that they'd be able to do drive-up, sit in the parking lot, leverage their Wi-Fi so they'd be able to do their homework and submit their assignments and access their online courses from the safety of their car. So because our libraries were also closed. Also, what we found is an increased attention to accessibility and privacy. I found it fascinating watching this unfold, particularly about the conversation around the surveillance culture of online proctoring and some of the equity and inclusion challenges that presents, that the proctoring video actually people with darker complexions, it didn't pick up quite as acutely. It was very, very interesting. Also in California, that they made it that you could not penalize someone for turning their camera off because you may have children in the background. underage people. It also, we brought online learning, we brought digital learning into people's homes, and there's some real privacy issues around that. So we definitely saw it really shone a light on some of the challenges we have with this, and accessibility. Our requests for accommodations just went up dramatically through the pandemic. So I see that the chat's illuminated again. Let's see what we got in the chat. Thank you. Oh, Heather, thank you. Yes, you're very welcome for the shout out, Heather. So in terms, sorry about that. So in terms of faculty, again, professional, jumping around. Hold on. Sorry about that. I'm 4 hours behind you all, so early here. Faculty professional development, lots of investment in faculty development. We've heard from our faculty that the Essentials of Online Teaching has improved their instruction across the board. One of the activities we had them do as part of their transition was to create a course map. And they said, I never learned how to make a course map to match my learning outcomes to my instructional strategies, to my assessment strategies. I'm going to use this in all modalities. I'm going to use this in my classroom. It's going to help me be a better teacher. We also seen that colleges expanded access to educational technology. Saw in your feedback that many of you extended Zoom licenses to your faculty, sponsored giving equipment to faculty and students. We also found and have seen the development of learning communities. We have a learning technology council that meets system-wide, and those are e-learning directors and LMS administrators. But what we found is the faculty are creating learning communities to share among themselves best practices, effective practices for online and digital learning, so that they've shared some really fantastic strategies. Each year we do what's called the Jerome Workow Award for a full-time faculty teaching with educational technology. And we found last year the nominations were up. We had so many more nominations from the colleges. And we found that the projects and the things that they did to enhance learning were so innovative and really just took advantage of the medium. Just amazing work that we've seen among our faculty. We also saw an increase in digital library and OER support. As they transitioned to remote instruction, sometimes it was challenging to find digital resources. And so they leaned into their libraries. They leaned into OER experts to say, okay, now that I don't have access, our students don't have access to the physical library, how can I make materials and resources available? So librarians have also been unsung, I'm a fan of librarians, really unsung heroes in the pandemic response to really reach out to folks. And of course, instructional design support. My instructional designers, my learning designers made themselves available to faculty throughout the system and did amazing work. So now it's your turn again. How did your college leverage the pivot to online towards progress? So what kind of progress did you see on your campuses as a result of your pivot? So I'm going to switch my screen so you can see what each of you are writing. All right. So how did your college leverage the pivot to online towards progress? See your responses. All right. Let's see. Do I need to refresh? Let's see if we refresh and see what it does. Are folks having trouble getting in? Oh, here we go. Yay. So Quality Matters training was provided to any faculty or staff who wanted to participate. That's fantastic. What other ways did you progress as a result of the pivot? Investment in technology and more professional development opportunities for faculty. Boost in IT support. Excellent. Increase awareness of digital accessibility needs. Yes, that's huge. Many faculty took advantage of our video sharing platform to create content, use Canvas course to develop a faculty community. That's excellent. Provide all kinds of tips and instructions for faculty to use. Lots of peer support. Faculty stepped up as Zoom helpers and content support. That's wonderful. Did professional development, external professional development, because what we found is conferences became virtual, many of them, and many of them were free. And so we found an uptick actually in access, particularly for smaller institutions that have limited funds, that there was much more professional development, external professional development opportunities for faculty. All advisement and registration processes are now online. Fantastic. Internal quality matters like training programs offered to faculty. Super Friends. Oh, I like that. Super Friends. Zoom licenses, Wi-Fi hotspots, created a repository on Canvas for how to successfully, oh, that's fantastic. Yes, we have seen we have a learning object repository, and we found an uptick in adoption of that and contribution to that. Fantastic. We have extensive QM training embedded in our online faculty training. Lots of Quality Matters institutions. That's wonderful. Faculty were offering professional development through ION University. Yes, I was an early fan of ION. Extended QM training. This is wonderful. Excellent. Great, great work. So you are really evidence of the how we've turned, as community college educators, how we turn a pandemic into something really helpful, as a pandemic can be, and really advanced our practices. It really speaks to not only the resilience, but the innovation that we have among us. This is wonderful. So let me go back to the slide deck and keep those coming. Wonderful. So let's explore the potential. So we talked about progress, and I think we're not done yet. This slide shares two things kind of differently. One is a persistent or durable change in how we work and how we learn as a result of the pandemic. A group of colleagues got together and did a webinar last summer about remote work. And as I mentioned in my earlier remarks, we were not a culture of remote work. Our chancellor just was not there in terms of letting us do remote work. But because our teams were so effective and were actually more productive when we didn't have to make a physical presence in an office, that our system office now, you could be 100% remote. Now, we serve the colleges and not students directly, but my team are 100% remote. Now, so this remote work continuum is an interesting, and I have some resources at the end of the slides that you can click on it and read some of these studies that I'm citing. But this is a continuum of remote work from a traditional on-campus model where, everyone's face-to-face to a completely remote network. And most colleges and most campuses are somewhere in the middle of those, of that continuum. Another way that we at Colorado Community College System have leveraged it is we've created a rural consortium of our rural colleges that we have leveraged synchronous learning to connect our colleges, our rural colleges, to do course sharing for synchronous remote courses. So we are now able to help the colleges and help the students make sure that they're able to progress and meet their get the courses that they need so that courses aren't canceled as often because of low enrollment. But we're also able to really leverage the centers of excellence that exist on some of our colleges so that, for example, our Northeastern Junior College, their wind energy program would be available now statewide. Mental and behavioral health counseling is available statewide. Our fantastic paleontology program up at Colorado Northwestern, because they're up by Dinosaur National Park, students can now participate in that paleontology program statewide and nationally and take advantage of the great resources that are there in the area situated near the Dinosaur National Park. So back to your turn. What are some post-pandemic potential opportunities? What are you talking about on your campuses? Are there things that have manifested in your strategic plans that will lead you to, we learned this in the pandemic response and we want to bake this into our strategic planning. We bake it into our services that we offer. We want to extend this out to our colleges because we found that we really excel in providing this service. So again, back to Menti, and love to hear from you. Well, I'm going to shift my screen and let's see what y'all have to say. What are some potential post-pandemic opportunities for your colleges? How are you leveraging the good work that you've shared to kind of move forward? Has anyone, I'm curious if anyone's done anything with concurrent enrollment. We've seen, as we have remote learners at the K through 12 level, what is it? Are you leveraging that for your concurrent enrollment students? So we see overhaul of technology planned. Yes. Synchronous online offerings. Offer more online courses. Hybrid hasn't gone over well, but students are demanding more online. Need to support faculty and provide release time. Yes. Increased instructional design support. I've tried to hire some learning designers, and I have to tell you, they are a hot commodity. I joked at our Connect conference, I joked with my opening, I think I'm funny sometimes. Our opening comment was, 3 years ago, people didn't know what an instructional designer was as an instructional designer. And now everyone wants one. And so it's like, this is our moment in the sun, right? So who knew that this would be, those of us in online learning would be called to rise to the challenge during this time. Progress towards offering more fully online programs and certificates. Expectations for LMS use. Yes, I think that is really key. Colorado, by statute, has a single LMS and SIS system-wide. So all of our colleges are on the same learning management system. And we did have the expectation that regardless of modality, faculty would use the LMS, but some of them would only use it for the grade book or the roster. But now we're seeing really more robust use of the LMS tools. fully developed online courses in biological. Yes, the sciences, we've seen a lot of great advancements in online science. Failure to take advantage of allowing students to attend Zoom synchronous classes in a rush to get back to the way it was. Investing in remote class infrastructure and support. Training on accessibility, that's huge. Increased instructional design support. Increased our ability to offer distance learning courses, plus employed a new LMS that help meet the needs of students. Flex courses, come in person or be online. Be interesting to hear if you've done more HyFlex. We've had a couple HyFlex attempts in our system with different levels of success. I even attended a HyFlex week intensive. I'm one of the faculty for OLC's Institute of Emerging Leaders in Online Learning, and we did last year's session as HyFlex. It actually went pretty well. We had Brian Beatty from San Francisco State. It's also one of our faculty, and he's published a lot on HyFlex. I do recommend, should have put his information in the resources. Great resource on how to develop HyFlex learning if you're looking at that. Improved technology, campus, netiquette policies, excellent. Investing in remote support, accessibility, increased online presence, yes. Slow transition of in-person learning, many students report missing live interaction. One of the HyFlex, there's someone talking about HyFlex. One of the things that is mental health services. I think what we're going to see, and I'm kind of focused on pedagogy here, but those wraparound services have become so important, particularly in terms of mental health. Our people are hurting, and this is taking way longer than I think many of us thought it was going. So I think we're going to see a lot of mental health services emerge on our campuses, increased counselors for students having, yes, personal difficulties. And our faculty are busy and they're tired, and pandemic fatigue is a real thing. And I do think that we're going to see the need for more support, mental health support for folks, more usage of our employee assistance programs. These are fantastic, fantastic, great. I'll go back to the slides. I set this up so it would stay open for you, so you can go back and see go back and review all of the contributions after. So many, as you can see from the responses from your colleagues, by reflecting on our lessons learned from the pandemic and leveraging those lessons into future possibilities, we as community college educators can fulfill our promise to our students, faculty, and the communities that we serve. This is a really important time. This is a time not only to build on the pivot, but also really think about what is the new normal and what is the community college experience that we want to create moving forward. I think we have huge opportunities to do that. And as community college educators, I can't think of a more dedicated group of people who care more about education and the students in the communities to serve as you all. So I congratulate you on your tenacity and your innovation and the good work that you're doing. So with that, I'm going to open the floor for questions. You can either ask them verbally or you can throw it in the chat. Love to hear from you. Or if you don't have something to ask but have something to share, would love to hear from you too. My vice chancellor taught me about the inclusion pause, to extend the silence beyond my comfort, to allow time for people who need to kind of muster up the courage to speak up. And so one of the things I've been trying to exercise is that the inclusion pause. What are the greatest challenges you face at your school when non-online faculty were forced to go remote? Yeah, we actually, it's interesting because we've seen a number of waves. I think the Great Resignation has hit us, truthfully. We've seen some of our faculty, I've seen two things. One is we've seen some faculty say, I'm not going to teach that way. That's not who I am. That's not my brand as a faculty member. And if the great dedicated resources that worked with them and found all different kinds of angles to try to pull that person in, truthfully, we've seen some resignation, some folks saying, I think I'm going to retire. And we've seen that. We've also seen, as we've had more faculty, as we've required faculty to come back to campus. And some have said, I want to stay online. We've also seen that. And so we created a pilot where at CCC Online, we've had some of the full-time faculty for the colleges teach for us as part of their load. Because for whatever reason, they're like, I'm immune compromised, or I have someone I'm a caregiver for. I don't feel comfortable coming back to campus. I want to stay remote. What can I do? We've been able to help keep them whole in allowing them to fulfill their load with us. We've also, as faculty, have been asked to come back to campus, and with some of our encouragement for vaccinations, some have opted out for that reason as well, and said, I want to continue to teach remotely because I can't get vaccinated or won't get vaccinated. So I want to stay remote, or they either do that or again, they retire. So it's been a real challenge for us to find ways to keep people engaged. It's taken a lot of creativity and support from our learning designers and our faculty support and our professional development folks. It really is. We've had a lot of challenges. Some we were able to overcome, and some we haven't. So we haven't won them all. Great question, Charles. Thank you. Others? So in my slides, I also have, keep the questions coming, but I do have the resources that I've cited. So I have links here for you all to see, so you'd be able to access those links. And if you want to keep the conversation going digitally, please contact me. Please reach out to me. I also tweet, so you can follow me on Twitter. And I really appreciate the time I've been able to spend with you. I want to thank Dr. Catterson for recommending me to the group who planned this. It's been delightful to spend time with you. So,
all right.
Yeah,
well, thank you.
Turn it back over to you.
Well, I would like to say thank you, Dr. Parscale, for being with us here today. Let's everybody give her a round of applause or thank yous in the chat. I want to remind everyone that our next session is how to get students to watch your videos today at 2 p.m. Our presenter for that is Kona Jones from Richland Community College. Links to attend all the live sessions are on the conference website, and they're also in your confirmation email. It is the same link to attend every session. So if you have any questions, you can contact me at jeff.newell@illinois.gov. And all of the recordings of the presentations and handouts will be available on the conference website at ilco.net following the conference. So that concludes today's this morning's session, our keynote. Thank you again to Dr. Parscale. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and we will see you at 2 o'clock.